Well, this is part two of Unit 1, and part two of Unit 1 has to do with absolute value and order of operations. You may be familiar with order of operations from the past. You may be even be able to recite them. But let's get into the second part of your packet. Okay. Now, the objective in this, I mean, there's nowhere to write it, but the ILO is absolute value and order of operations. And order of operations. I'm going to split this up into two different videos. The first one's going to be just dealing with absolute value. The second one's going to be dealing with the order of operations. Now, what is absolute value? Absolute value, you may remember, absolute value means it's always positive. Always positive. And geometrically, that's a big word. Geometrically, it means the distance from zero. And distance is always positive. Distance from zero. All right. Nobody lives -5 miles from school. Okay. Now, as far as evaluating, when you're evaluating an absolute value, always do the inside first and outside last. Okay. I'm not going to do all these examples. I'm going to do the ones I've got circled. Now, so absolute value of -13, that's just simple. Absolute value, all it does is just chops off the negative. The absolute value of -13 is +13. I didn't circle this one, but the absolute value of 21 is just 21. So all absolute value does is if it's negative, it chops the negative off. But remember, you have to do the inside first. Now, number 4, you've got actually something outside. You've got a plus sign that's outside. Outside, you do last. All right, what's inside the absolute value? Well, that's the absolute value of -8. You need to do that first. And what does absolute value of -8 do? It turns it into +8. Absolute value of +9 is 9. And then you do the outside last. 9 plus 8 is 17. Now let's go to number 7. Number 7, some people think that that's a double negative. No, it isn't. Go back to what we said. You got to do the inside first, outside last. That negative right there is inside the absolute value. What happens when you take the absolute value of -5? It turns it into a +5. This minus here is outside. We do that last. So this is not really like a double negative. Double negative is something when you see with parentheses like this. That is a double negative. You've learned that before. This is not a double negative. All right, absolute value -11, it just chops the negative off. All right, we've done the inside. Now we have to do the outside last. The outside would subtract 11 minus 5 is 6. Now let's look at number 11. Number 11, the absolute value of 20, we got something to do inside here. This is outside, we do that last. Inside, what's the absolute value of -26? It's just 26. What's the absolute value of 28 is 28. Okay. And then what's outside is a minus sign. 28 minus 26 is 2. Number 12, inside, we got to do the inside first. The absolute value of -3 is 3. The absolute value of 19 is 19. All right, we've done the inside. Now we've got to do the outside. The outside is a minus. 3 minus 19, that is -16. If you have a hard time with positive and negative numbers, you need to let me know. I can give you some extra practice on that. But 3 minus 19 is -16. Now notice this answer is negative. Just because a problem has absolute value in it doesn't mean the final answer can't be negative. All right. But those numbers themselves were positive. But since the minus sign was outside, yes, the final answer could be negative, even though the problem has got absolute value signs in it. All right, so that's the end of the first part of the second skill that we have to learn in Unit 1. So come back in a minute and we're going to do some order of operations.